My name's Michael Wong. I'm the CEO of OpenMP. Thank you very much for coming. This is just to acquaint you with the current structure of the organization. As you can see, we have a board of directors, about 5 actually. One has retired. Ko Hara has retired from Fujitsu, at least from the OpenMP board of directors. We now have 5 on the list from VMware, from Intel, from Texas Instruments, from Oracle, and RWTH Aachen. The organization is well represented by, here we are. If you want to know what RWTH stands for, these 2 gentlemen will fill you in. They're very insistent that those letters remain in the name no matter what.
Because there's a different university.
Because, yes, there's a different university.
There's a good reason for it.
In fact, some of our board of directors are in the audience. We are represented administratively by the OpenMP ARB, and as the officers, we run the day-to-day organizations of it. The actual work, however, is done by the committees, and the major committee, one representative per member, is of course a language committee chaired by Brona sitting over there. I'm not going to blind him with my laser, and Matthias, who's handing out the question cards, the survey cards. I want to show this slide because this is a slide that's done by Intel, by Jim County. Jim, right there, he spent a lot of time on it, and I really wanted to show it because it shows the growth of the organization, okay, starting in 1997, so these little blue lines shows the number of members, the light blue being the permanent member, and the dark blue being the permanent members, and the light blue being the auxiliary members. And you can see that the numbers are growing to now we have 25. The little red bar is the number of OpenMP Google scholarly hits, okay? You know, if you use Bing, I'm told that if you use Bing, you could double the number of hits, you know, instead of Google. But you can see that over time, we've been getting a great deal more hits. And what is being shown here is actually each of the major content of each particular edition of OpenMP, starting from 1.0, 2.0, the bottom being C and C++, the top being Fortran. There was a time when the specification was different between C, C++, and Fortran. Beyond 2.5, we unified the entire standard, so that now there's just one book, and there's different subsections for Fortran, C, and C++ together. What Jim has done is shown the growth, actually, of the number of pages, starting from 55 pages here, all the way to, what are we at now, 538 pages. Nice job, Jim. And as well as the major content. The last one being 4.0, where we started essentially breaking away from the shared memory paradigm of only supporting shared memory parallelism, supporting separate hierarchical memory, so that we now have support for accelerators, coprocessors, devices. We're also the first high-level language to support SIMD parallelism, courtesy of an Intel contribution. IBM, as well as member of RWTH Aachen, who have long championed threat affinity, okay? And now that is also in OpenMP. And something as well as other things like error capabilities, the initial capabilities of it. So, and that's where we are. We're now trying to be, we're now much more agile. We're publishing more frequently, expect more products and outputs from OpenMP. And in fact, Brona's actually started showing the number of tickets ever since, I don't know if this is when we first started the track system, but for 3.1, we had something like 87 tickets being passed. Yeah, when we first started using the track system, which is a ticket system measuring the number of features and defects that are being rolled together. 4.0 was a major release with 106. And now, this is not saying that we're doing less work. This is just less time, okay? You can see that in between, we're now also publishing TR1, which was an old accelerator specification. To this year, we're publishing TR2, TR3, okay? There's a likelihood of more TRs as we go along in what could likely happen is, as you can follow this, you can probably read this graph as well as I do and say, hey, I'm no dummy. I can see that every other year, you're going to do a TR and then a specification. And if all goes well, that looks like it's a possibility that that we're going to be doing something like that. Okay? All right. The organization itself, fairly simple. I'm going to take just a quick bit of time just to show you. It's operated under the ARB with various subgroups being that's there today. We're beginning to add more subgroups as we go along. Okay? And this is something thanks to Dieter, one of our directors. He's been doing this slide. I don't know if you haven't updated this one. Maybe you do, but I haven't seen it yet. But this actually shows it fairly well in terms of the growth of the memberships. Okay, the top group being the permanent members, the bottom group being the auxiliary members, and when they join. We're now 25 members. A couple of members aren't shown here. For instance, Red Hat, representing GCC. Thank you. And Barcelona. Where are you, Barcelona? Back there, thank you. And UH, where are you, UH? Is UH here? Yonghong? There you go, there you are, thank you. Thank you, Sunita. And there you are, right there. Yep. So, you guys know who you are. We're definitely growing. We're not growing at an incredible pace, but we are definitely growing with more members coming in. We're trying to be very, very deliberate about our growth. So, I will just take a few moments to talk about what's going on this year for us. I want to talk about the code challenge. We've designed OpenMP as best as we can, and we think it's time that the world take us for our words. Test us out, take your code, your parallel code, take your tired masses of parallel code, whether it's accelerator or not, and ask us to convert it to modern OpenMP. Now, there's just some caveats so that you don't give us a lot of make work and things like that. We're not doing student projects, and we're not doing your work for you. If you're trying to see if a piece of particular parallel region can be converted to OpenMP, so some examples are things like CUDA to OpenMP, OpenACC to OpenMP, C++ or C++ AMP to OpenMP, OpenCL to OpenMP. We've got experts within our group who are in those languages who can try to help you and show, essentially, our point is to show how close OpenMP is to many of these other parallel languages. Our goal, make no doubt about it, is to show that OpenMP is the most capable parallel language. It might not be the best or the fastest. We're still working on that. But if we can't do it, that's at least showing something else about OpenMP that we need to improve. That's why it's a challenge. Okay? You can go to the GitHub right now, give us a post on the forum, post your code. It's got to be open source code. You can't give us your proprietary code or your teacher's code and expect us to do that kind of thing. It's got to be a common, real application, not some corner fringe cases. Okay? The rules are there. The point is to show you that it can be written in modern OpenMP. Okay? Something new on the horizon, OpenMPCon. I'll just talk quickly about it. We've had a number of successful conferences, IWAMP, OpenMP language meetings, supercomputing BoFs. You're in one right now. We've got booth talks, tutorials. What's wrong with them? Absolutely nothing. They are fantastic. They're great. They're educational. They're formal. They're educational in every way. The only problem is they're at different places. We like to gather them together so that they're in one place, have a big event, okay, that's for you, okay, so that it's modeled after something like PyCon, CPPCon, C++ Now, ACCU, a conference that's for the users. You guys come and tell us how you use OpenMP, and we'll tell you in return what are all the tips and tricks about OpenMP, what was the original design rationales by some of the key designers who wrote the specifications of OpenMP, okay? And I'm proud to announce that we've been working on this in the background. RWTH Aachen, I'm not dropping those letters, okay, is going to be hosting it together with IWAMP. So if you're going to IWAMP anyway, it's a great reason to come a few days early for OpenMPCon. If you were just going to go to OpenMPCon, stay for IWAMP. And there's more. We're calling this the multi-conference conference because you start with OpenMPCon, you follow up with tutorial, then you follow up with IWAMP, the academic conference that we normally might have. And then we follow up with something even more difficult. If you think that's not enough, attend some of our OpenMP face-to-face meetings. You won't get a vote, but you'll get to see all the wrangling that happens in the background. And you might even be able to contribute a few words into the design of OpenMP. Sounds fun? That's what we're going for. We're asking you guys to come, submit your talks. We've already got one talk submitted by somebody, I think, in Germany. Submit your talks, put yourself up, show us how you're using OpenMP so that we can improve OpenMP by learning from you. And in return, you might learn a few tips about how to use OpenMP well from us as well, too. Okay? That's about it. You can see that anything, pretty much, we're looking for sponsorships. Some people have already stepped forward. What are some of the interesting talks? Guidelines on OpenMP, tips and tricks, performance, the latest OpenMP, or even older releases if you want to talk about those. Commercial analytic workloads, talk about OpenMP design, interoperability, event programming, futures, speculative execution, my personal favorite, okay? Software development tools, a history of OpenMP, if you'd like to tell us about that too, okay? Tutorials, if you have a great tutorial, and we've got some great ones here. Some of the people in the audience, Christian have been doing great ones. Rude there in the corner, yep, you, stand up. He's been one of our tutorial leaders, giving great tutorials. I learned to OpenMP from watching his videos. So if you've got a good one, show it to us. We'll put you guys up too, okay? There's going to be invited talks, panels, presentations by the community, tips and tricks, lightning talks, evening events. So these are some of the key dates. The slides are going to be available, so you can see them. We're beginning really early, so hopefully you guys can come. All right, and that's beautiful Aachen. I believe that is that the Super Center? Right there, right? Okay. All right. And I hear the drinking is okay there in Aachen. I hear the drinking is okay there. No? It's not any good. All right. Michael Clem, he's going to be our showman. He's going to be our show manager. Stand up, Michael. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for volunteering. All right. You guys have all heard about our new mission statement by now. We're opening ourselves up to not just shared memory. Everything that we can potentially look at is a possibility in our attempt to make OpenMP the most capable parallel language out there. OpenMP. So what have we been doing to modernize ourselves? Well, we're putting OpenMP specs on GitHub. It's private for now. That's pretty much successful right now. I don't know where Richard, back there, our editor-in-chief, along with other people in the room, Bronus, Kent, where are you, Kent? Right there. Henry, where are you? Are you here? Okay, you guys have been doing some great work along with the rest of the OpenMP committee. Thank you very much for putting our old draft, which was on FrameMaker, yes, FrameMaker, to now LaTeX on GitHub. That's modernizing OpenMP for you. Website updates, we're trying to modernize the server so that it's now available on any devices, on your phablet if you want it, so that you can see it well. Okay. We're working on publishing. That's going slowly because everyone's really busy. Okay. And we're working on realignment of the membership categories, permanent auxiliary, possibly soon to be gone. We're talking about new categories with dues increase to remain competitive. I think the word being thrown around is ARB board, ARB contributor. I'm just showing you guys something that you might have never heard of, but this is something we're working on. Now, for this BoF, this is my last slide. Compilers are coming. We've had OpenMP 4.0 out there for a year now. And yes, to some extent, it's almost like a new language, isn't it? It's a much more capable language, supporting a much broader audience. And probably one of the most important things that I don't think people realize is OpenMP is probably the only language out there that can supply capabilities for your entire machine, whether it's the vector unit or the GPU unit. I work in C++. C++ can't even do this. And there's a lot of language that can't cover all the MIPS on your machine. So we've got your vendors here who's going to be able to tell you where they are. This is just a slide talking about it. They're going to be up here later on. You guys can ask them all about it. All right? Future meetings. All right. Calendar will show up. The next meeting coming right up February 2nd to 6th. Feel free to dispute me if I got these dates wrong. Hosted by NVIDIA in Santa Clara. spring 2015, May 18 to 22. Some of these dates are yet still tentative, but thank you to BSC over there, Xavier. Okay, we're going to be in lovely Barcelona. Fall 2015, that's the big date. Put that in your calendar. September 28th, 30th. OpenMP Con, all happening in RWTH Aachen, Germany. Tutorials, that's a Wednesday. Then the Thursday and Friday will be IWOM 2015, followed by the language meeting right after that. I think we skipped Saturday. Is that right, Bronus? Do we skip Saturday, or do we skip Saturday and Sunday?
It's the 4th to the 8th.
4th to the 8th? All right. I know I got it there somewhere wrong. Okay. But it's still tentative, and that's fine. So we're continuing to drive to ratify 4.1 and 5.0. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Bronus. Thank you.